All right, recording in progress. I'll be letting folks in as we join, but I just want to say welcome. I'm so glad you spent a little of your evening with us here at the Cowart Team Home Loans. Our team is 14 of us, all working together to help get Virginia families through their biggest purchase they ever make in their lives, which is buying a home. And tonight we're going to do a webinar on the game of money, just financing basics to build wealth. All the questions you have, but don't know where to go to ask them. So want to say thanks for joining. Here's some house rules real quick. We're going to end right on time at 6:45. I will be pausing and breaking for questions as we go through this presentation. Turn your cameras on, turn them off. Whatever you choose, you can be as involved as you want. We will be putting this presentation as well as this video up on our website. I'll show you that in just a second. So if you're ever feeling like, man, I wish this would be written down and I could go back and look at it, guess what? We're going to give it away. You can pull up the PowerPoint, pull up the presentation, and read this stuff as you choose to. We're going to go over the basics. I like this kind of keep it simple, stupid. All you need to know you learned in kindergarten. None of this money stuff I think is going to blow you away. But we all know that mastery is doing the simple things over and over again. And that's kind of where we are here with the rules of money. Progress, not perfection. I love that saying. Just getting a little bit better with your money habits and your money discipline every day is what's going to lead to making substantial difference over time. Yeah, we're going to try to just keep it real simple. Why is Greg, a mortgage guy, leading this webinar? Some of it's just the way we work on our team. We really do care. There's really an absence of financial advice out there. It doesn't pay very well to teach people what to do with their money. And so there's just not many voices out there teaching the basics of money management. Some families teach them. Wealth can be generational, but most don't. Schools do a poor job and really they're overwhelmed by other social issues. And the churches, I have taught Dave Ramsey's classes in some churches, but even the churches don't really teach this stuff too. So where are you going to teach it? On our team, we feel like we'll take this on. We're already talking to families about financial stuff. We're already talking to them about how to turn the buying a home into their whole financial picture. We're already talking about building wealth. So yeah, we'll do it. Only 35% of US families have a professional financial advisor. That means 65% don't. And we'll try to help our families fill that gap by giving them advice on money. Yes, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a fiduciary. Most of this stuff is just teaching the basics, and we are happy to do it. We're going to cover budgeting, investing, how much to save, does credit score matter? If I pay off debt, what's the right order to pay off? How much money do I need for retirement? Should I get insurance? We're just going to take a brief trip throughout the game of money. I wish the game was easy. It's not. It involves the same things that would be needed if you wanted to play the violin, or if you wanted to be a wonderful basketball player, or if you wanted to do ceramics. You got to practice. You got to sit down. You got to be courageous not to be good and just get better and better and better. You've got to be patient. You've got to seek advice from people who are smarter than you. We're not the first people to ever play the game of money. Learn strategies, block out time to learn money, and just try to get better every month. I will tell you a personal story. I'm a 52-year-old person, and I really never had money until about the age 40. I was a late starter. I used to be an educator and was lucky enough to come to an industry where I could gain wealth over time and had some good advice. And I've tried to be disciplined, and I've really made a lot of progress. So I'm somebody who tells you you don't have to get out of the gates at age 22, that there's even hope if you're 35, 55, and are just getting to the game of money. Just get slightly better every day. And look, you're already winning by being here. So, well, why does money matter? Well, it's going to give you freedom. It's going to give you legacy of money you can pass on to people you care about. It gives you flexibility when things go wrong in life, as setbacks often do. Um, ability to try different things as you go through life. And then, what is your why? How can you use money to help others? How can you use money to grow yourself? Money is a resource, money is a fuel, and it's worth it to get in here and let's play the game of money. What's the step one? Step one is to go to our webinar that I'm going to show you in just a second that we've already done. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you that now. If you look at the screen on our website, we're trying to give it away right here under resources, under educational downloads. You can see all the classes that we've done. So here it is, Straight Talk. There's a podcast. Here are our 3 upcoming webinars, and here's our past webinars. Here's the recording, and here is all of the items you might need. You just simply click on it, and you can get a copy of our budget guide, our presentation, and even our spreadsheet for the budget. So it's all there. So the first thing to do, if you want to play the game of money, is learn the monthly discipline of sitting down and doing a written budget every month. And we teach that in Budget Like a Boss. It is the budget we use here on our team, and you can just go to thecowicteam.com. By the way, we also, if you take a look at your screen, we have a podcast. Right now it's mostly Jesse, but the whole team does participate. We've got 14. And right there, you can click on the game of money and you'll hear a podcast. You can click on Budget Like a Boss and you'll hear a podcast walking you through some of these concepts that are a little much for a 45-minute webinar. You might want to hear them again. So Budget Like a Boss teaches you to do budgeting twice a month, once at the beginning and once at the middle. But without really talking and owning your budget and telling your money where it want to go, you won't really have enough to pay off debt and to save. Allison, let's take a quick break here and see if there's any questions out there. Again, if y'all have a question at this point on anything I've covered, feel free, you can put it in the chat or you can take yourself off mute and just speak up if you wish to as well. I'll pause for just a second. All right, I thought this was kind of cool. Greg, if I have $10, what do the professionals say how I should use it? Like, what should I spend my money on? Well, this is a great guide. It's the 50-30-20 rule, and I'll show you how it works in just a second. We're not using your gross income, we're using your after-tax income. They call that the net income. And you would put 50% of your money every month towards things you had to have to survive. Needs would be a house for housing. This would be food. This would be a car to get you to your work. So 50% of your money goes towards needs. 30% goes towards your wants. A trip, a nice shirt. You want to buy a puppy, whatever it is, 30%, and then 20% goes towards paying off debt and or saving. At first, you may not be able to pay off debt and save. You may have to do a combination of the two. And the way I teach budgeting is similar to Ramsey. I believe it's okay to view some of your early debt payoff as savings because it's really helping you get to a point where you can save. And guys, if you try this and you can't quite swing it, you can just switch two of the numbers and do 60% towards needs and 10% towards savings or debt payoff. Let me show you what this looks like in a real home. Let's say this family makes 100 grand a year, 2 people, one makes 50, one makes 50. You don't get to take 100 home. Let's assume that 30 goes to taxes, that's 70 pay. Well, per month, 70 pay net is going to be $5,800 per month. How would that look? Well, this family would use $2,900 towards needs, car, food, groceries, housing, 30% or $1,700 towards wants, and $1,160 towards savings or debts. That's a really nice guide. And just to review, it's a 50-30-20. It's kind of fun to play. It's easy. You can even use a budget or just use a sheet and just write it down and see how you're doing on that. All right, Greg. So let's say I can put 10% of my money towards savings. Well, what do I do? Like, where do I put it? Like, what order do I go? And we teach this in Budget Like a Boss. I'll just review real quick. The first thing you want to do is put $1,000 into an emergency fund. Why? I love this. If you have $1,000 in an emergency fund, you are in a better situation than 72% of Americans. It's about 70% of Americans, if something went wrong, could not come up with $1,000 to pay an emergency. It's not a good statistic, but you can look it up. It's true. If put in a situation where someone had to come up with $1,000 for an emergency, less than 70% of people have it. So the first thing you do, you just, before you pay off any debt, you just try to save $1,000 and put it in an emergency fund. And then we start, the second thing we would do is start building towards 1 month of our income, or 1 month of our survival number, how much we could live off of if we had to for 1 month. Let's say it's $5,000. You want to try to save $5,000 in one account. And of course, you would have the $1,000 in your emergency account. From there on this slide, if you do have a 401k match at work, that would be free. Most people don't, but if you do, that's free money. You would want to put in enough to match what they have. And then I'll walk you through getting to 3 months of reserves. And then we walk you through just the basics of where you want to invest. And we call that some sort of index fund. A good one to start with is the S&P index fund. And you can, and I give you instructions right here. It's really not that hard. Most companies have these. And if you're not an expert with finances, and it's really hard to be one, even the experts can sometimes struggle. An index fund is a great safe place to put your money in. Over time, they do very well. And if you don't know where to invest, and you have 1 month of, 3 months of reserves, and you have an emergency fund, this would be where you'd want to go after your 401k or IRA. All right, now let's go ahead and mix that in with debts. All right, well, Fred, what if I have debts? Most of us do. How do I save and how do I pay off debts? So this is a nice slide for what we teach and what's been taught to us. Yellow is saving, and not yellow is going to be debt payoff. So now you're putting these in order. Save $1,000 for emergency fund. Save 1 month of survival number. That's how much it takes to run your family for a month. Then start paying off high interest credit cards using the debt snowball. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we go down from there. But, you know, things like student loan debt or a mortgage, these are actually debts you may not want to stress about paying off right away. You're going to want to definitely attack the credit cards first. And we call that the poverty tax. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then you'll want to maybe go after a higher interest auto or consumer loan. All right, I'll pause to see if there's any questions. All right, here's the slide. Compound interest. Compound interest. What does that mean? Well, it's basically where you earn money on your money. This is literally the key to wealth building. The rich, the wealthy, they let their money work for them and their money is working for them. For those who don't have money, they're really at a disadvantage because they're only earning money by working through labor. So let me give you 2 examples of compounding interest. I think most of us know this. On the left, if you put $150 per paycheck into savings, starting at age 25, $150 per paycheck, and if your money got you 8% a year, which is not low, it's not high, but it's strong. By age 40, you would have $1.1 million in savings. And by the way, the majority of that's not the money you're putting in, it's that your money's growing over time. You're making money on your money. Let me give you another example. These are kind of motivating. If you put $10,000 into the market at age 22 and never put another dime in, so in the first example, we're just slowly saving 150 every paycheck. In the other example, we just put 10 grand in at age 22. And then after 40 years, if our money made 10%, we would have $452,000. So you've only put in 10. The other 440,000 has come to you through compounding interest. Compounding interest is the key to building wealth. Show you another slide. And I'll give you one of my favorite sayings, the best time to plant a tree is yesterday. The next best time to plant a tree is today. And that's the way money works. In this example, the female in the blue has started saving money at 25 and just put aside $5,000 a year for 10 years. So she saved from 25 to 35 and then she stopped. Didn't do anything else. So she 5K a year for 10 years. At the end, by age 65, she has almost $800,000. Now, the second investor didn't start at 25, he started at 35. He did the same thing, put $5,000 in a year, but he did it for 30 years. Remember, investor one, she did it for only 10. Well, by the age of 35, he had 600,000 more or less. The difference of almost 200 grand. It shows the importance of starting early and how important and how much compound interest works for you if you start early. I've got a 22-year-old and he's trying to take the world on fire.
I just printed it. Yeah. Did you see he
Put yourself on.
yeah. No, that's true.
There we go. All right. He's trying to turn the world on fire, and I'm trying to help him just by don't worry about how much you're saving, just get in the habit of saving. All right. Let's talk about getting help with your money. This is kind of a weird slide. Typically, you can pay someone to help you make more money than you might make on your own. And these people do well. They're professionals, investment managers, but you probably want to have somewhere around $100,000 to $200,000 saved so they can start working with it because they're going to charge you money to manage your money. You also need to demonstrate that you can save consistently. And one way you demonstrate that is you've already saved. And this would be an investment manager, and we can help you with great people in town you can talk to. But you might not need an investment manager unless you have money and are on the track to earning more or have some more complex life events happening. Now, if you want to pay for a money plate, there are financial advisors you can hire who you can pay them just for their time. These are called fee-based financial advisors, and we can introduce you to one as well. I lift weights. I have a gym membership, but I pay somebody to watch me lift weights. Because I've learned over time that if I wasn't paying him, I wouldn't go. But by paying him, I show up almost twice a week, every week. But the moment I stop paying him, my discipline goes down. He knows what he's doing. He keeps me from hurting myself. And it's the same thing with the financial advisor. So guys, don't think you need to be wealthy to get financial advice. If you're going through complex life changes, if you're trying to accomplish something, these are professional money people and they can help you. But remember, only 35% of people truly have consulted and hired a financial advisor in our country. And if you're not willing to, there are a lot of resources out there. Here are some. There are podcasts, which are wonderful. There are books. I put 3 of my favorite here. There's so much good stuff out there if you're careful about what you listen to. Good, reliable sources to help you learn the game of money and really educate yourself. So if it's not the right time to hire someone to help you, we're just watching this type of podcast. There's so much you can do to move yourself forward. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really loving podcasts these days. It's such an easy way to just get great information at a high level. I met a really smart guy who has taught me about money, and he taught me about the bucket approach. I thought this was really helpful. I'll pass it on to you. And it basically is win by not leaving. You see, you could just put all your money in stocks, or all your money in crypto, or all your money in some investment, or all your money in real estate. But the way the wealthy typically think is they know that everything goes up and down. And by thinking of the different ways you can invest as buckets, by putting money in all of the buckets, you protect yourself from one doing great or one doing poorly, because over time they all come and go. And all of your wealth, it's a balanced approach to wealth building. So whether it's real estate, bonds, CDs, stocks, crypto, which one should I do? Perhaps you should do all of them. In fact, the biggest thing you can invest in is yourself. Education, learning. That's probably the most of any of the buckets that's the most important. Build your moves, build your wealth, build your skill set. And that's going to be a key to wealth building as well. So that's the bucket approach. Let's touch on real estate. It's one of the buckets. This is the bucket I live in. Turns out that owning houses is a really good investment. It slowly goes up over time. Since World War II, homes have gone up about 5% per year. Since World War II, that's 1942, homes have averaged about 5% of increased value a year. Well, Greg, big deal. It is a big deal. On a $400,000 home, and here in Richmond, there's a lot of $400,000 homes. It's becoming kind of a normal price. That's $20,000 per year that you're making just by owning the roof over your head. You guys, if you don't own a home, real estate's a key bucket that you're going to want to start saving for after you've paid off some of the more expensive debts you have. There's tax advantages, you build equity, so many reasons to own a home. And our town of Richmond, as we all know, has just kind of done even more than 5% in recent years. Don't wait to buy real estate and wait. Don't worry about buying the perfect real estate. Just first try to own your home. And if you own your home, feel free to call us. We have a podcast on this about how to buy your second home. And if you own two homes, feel free to call us. We can strategize with you on how to own a third home. This is a really easy, slow way over time to build your net worth. Good debt. Mortgages are good debt. Student loans, we can argue they're good debt, assuming we're investing in something that helps us earn more or get more out of life in the future. And auto loans can be considered good debt. If it's too far to ride your bike, you're going to have to get to work somehow. Auto loans are not necessarily bad debt. Bad debt is going to be mostly credit card. We'll talk about that in a second. There's just nothing good about credit cards. And they're really keeping a lot of people from moving forward because we are Americans and we want to buy, and the discipline's hard, and credit cards are easy. But these 20%, you're just never going to get out from under it. So credit card discipline is going to be probably one of the hardest keys to building wealth. Installment loans, we see a lot of them. That's typically where you get too many credit cards and roll them into a big loan. And then buy now, pay later, or consumer loans. We are seeing a lot of these in the market as well. So not all debt is bad, but credit cards certainly are. Well, Greg, what debts would I pay off first? Well, we would use the debt snowball to hit them in this order: credit cards, high interest loans, lower interest credit cards, auto loans, and then student loans. I wrote at the bottom, and I learned this from a friend, credit card debt is financial cancer. You will not recover from keeping yourself in credit card debt. The interest charges are such that you can never get your head above water. And we can also almost think of this as a poverty tax, that people who stay in debt and can't break through and start saving money find themselves not able to save money because it's almost like quicksand. The constant use of credit cards to try to get what they need and want is keeping them from ever really escaping to build wealth. So avoiding credit card debt is one of the keys to the game of money. And the key step to that is understanding where your money is going. And you understand where your money is going by doing a monthly budget. All right, I don't know if y'all know this. Feel free to chime in. Anyone know the difference between a debt snowball and a debt avalanche? Actually, I'm tired of talking. Let me see if I can get someone to tell me what a debt snowball is. Somebody come off mute and take it away. Because most of these names here, a bunch of us are friends or people I know. Anyone want to take on what a debt snowball is? It's right there, but just put it in your own words. Or explain the difference between a debt snowball and a debt avalanche. I'm going to wait 4 seconds, and if you don't pop in, I'm going to do it myself, which I don't mind. But you might want to hear someone else talk.
I'll jump in on this one.
All right, what you got, Allison? Thank you.
Okay, so debt snowball, right? We're going to start off with this little tiny ball, and we're going to pay that first thing off first, and then we're going to take that money we're paying towards that, and then we're going to work on something that's a little bit more bigger, right? So all of a sudden, our snowball starts getting bigger and bigger because we're paying off more debt. We've cleared up this tiny $100 bill, and now we can start putting that $100 towards a larger bill. So the snowball just gets big, right? And we just starts rolling down the mountain, picking up speed, getting rid of debt.
The debt avalanche, what's different? Do you know that one, or do you want me to take that?
You got it.
For the debt snowball, you just start with your smallest debt, the one you owe the least on, because the cool thing about people is when they pay something off, they get really pumped. And so if we only have a $250 credit card, you start there. And then you take that money and you move it into the next card once that's paid off. And you just always keep adding what you owe to the snowball. And so every month you're throwing more and more at the debt. It works. Debt avalanche is for someone who's really smart. They know that they would rather attack first the one that has the highest interest charge. So for example, if I have $10,000, it's at 22%. Well, Greg, shouldn't I attack that one first? Yes, you should. But that's a big pill to swallow. And psychologically, the debt snowball kind of feels better because you're making progress over time. So debt avalanche, you start with the highest interest charge. Debt snowball, you start with your lowest debt. I don't care which one you do. Just first, I'm just glad you handed it. I don't want to go into credit score too much other than to tell you a couple things. One, you don't need a lot of credit cards to get credit. You probably only need one, honestly. I do credit for a living. Two, there's a whole industry out there that's trying to get you all freaked out about your credit. And it's just a bunch of baloney. Credit's super confusing. Whether you've got a 740 or 780 really doesn't make a difference. The average credit score in the United States is around a 680. You can buy a house just fine, whether you're a 680 or a 640 or 740. It really doesn't matter. And they're all just trying to get you to sign on the bottom line and sell your products, in my opinion. If you've got serious credit issues, give us a call. We know professionals that are good. Don't do the online call centers. We know a guy who's local, who's a pro, who can help you through your credit stuff. We can give you some advice as well. But I would tell you that credit scores are already really confusing. We don't need to really make it more confusing. Pay your stuff on time. Keep small credit card balances. You don't need a lot of credit cards, and you'll have a good score. If you've got a confusing situation, call us. We'll help you through it. Greg, are credit cards good or bad? Credit cards are bad. They are only for emergencies, car rentals, these kinds of things. Limit yourself to 2, maybe 3, probably 1 would be best. And if you can, call the credit card issuer and see if they don't give you 20, see if they'll just squish it down to 5. That's right. Limit how much they'll let you have, because that limit will keep you safe and it'll protect you. But I think credit cards are way overused. Debit cards are fine. They're coming out of your checking, but credit cards, I would tell you, don't need as much as you think you do. Let's hit life insurance real quick. If you die, and guess what? We're all going to go one day. Sometimes it happens before you're ready. Life insurance is a great thing to have. So much that we're going to give you our 10 steps checklist and put on our website of what 10 things do you want to do to just nail the basics of the game of money, and life insurance is one of them. Financing your kids, if you happen to leave the earth, paying off your bill, paying for the cost of a funeral. If someone's lost someone, it's expensive and very disruptive when someone leaves our planet. And life insurance is something you're going to want to get. I'm going to encourage you just to get term life insurance. There's a couple different kinds. There's nothing wrong with whole life insurance, but it's complex. It's more expensive. It doesn't just do one thing. It tries to do a bunch of things. The wealthy really can do some cool things with whole life insurance. But for most of us, term is all we need. It's cheap. If you die, you get $1 million. It's very simple to understand. And it's typically good over a period of typically 20 years. So for right now, I would tell you just to get term life insurance. It's inexpensive. You can sometimes get $1 million if you're healthy for only $50 a month. 500,000 you can get for as cheap as 20, $30 a month. The earlier you get it, the cheaper it is because you're healthy. And as you age and you build wealth, sometimes you don't even need life insurance anymore, because if you pass away, you're leaving wealth to your family. Whole life insurance, let's wait on that until you get yourself pretty comfortable. It is a tool. There's nothing horrible about it, but you're going to want to almost have an advisor walk you through how to use it. Just be wary. It's a high commission product, often pushed by salespeople. And so I will tell you, as someone who cares about you, if you're here on this call, I would just be cautious with whole life insurance. And then we have something called variable life insurance, which is a combination of the two. it's like anything else. Whole life's not inherently bad. It's just sometimes a tool that's overused and not used properly. Should you get a will or a trust? Yes. If you've got money, or if you got someone who cares about you, or if you have some things, you're going to want to get a will. Well, Greg, which one's better? Don't sweat it. Get a will first, so that if something happens to you, your loved ones can have a legal document which says what's going to happen. Now, I didn't write this in here, but there's other things such as a medical directive and a power of attorney. These are things that I or anyone who you know who has one can point you to someone who can do it. They're not that expensive. It's not fun to do, but man, it feels good. I like working out. It's like, that wasn't fun, but I feel better after doing it. And having a will and or a trust. And a trust is just a fancy will, kind of for people who have more stuff or have more complexity. Well, should I start off with a trust? Sure, a little more expensive, a little more complicated, but a will should get you out of the gates just fine. So think of a trust as kind of a will for a more complicated situation. All right, let's kind of pause here for a second. We're at 6:33. I got about 10 minutes left. I'm talking fast. Everyone doing all right? Any questions at this point? This is all going to be online, all on our website at gowerteam.com. You can pull up the webinar, you can pull up the slides, the PowerPoints, all here for you. This is just a review of some of what we've covered. Trying to think of any of these I want to pull out. And guys, there's so much when you do this. Remember, we're all different. We all are different stages of life. We all have different experiences with money. We all come from different families, where we've been taught things about money. Some families, money was guilty. Some family money was pleasure. Some families, I mean, there's a real psychological component to money. And so not only are we having to overcome our psychology of money, we're having to overcome our money habit, whether good or bad. We're also all in different situations as far as our history and how much we earn, how much debt we have. And so, just be kind to yourself and just try to, I love this concept of progress versus perfection and just trying to get a little better. On our team, we're just trying to work with our team on just trying to do a monthly written budget, because when you interact with something, you get to know it better. And there's this word called manifesting, that when you start to vision and understand, it'll all start to flow and come together. So being on this call and doing a monthly budget, your wealth will start to manifest itself just by being consistent. All right, let me kind of get confusing, but this is fun. A couple of rules with money. The rule of 72 has to do with pretty much how quickly your money doubles. And the answer here is about 7 years if you can get a 10% return on your money. So it's just some division, but if you can get a 10% of return on your money, divide that into 72, and it's telling you how long it will take your money to double. Greg, you need to tell me, if I have $100,000 and I can get a 10% return, that money will on its own turn into $200,000 in 7 years? Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Well, Greg, wait, if I can get to 500,000 and I can get a 10% return, that turns into $1 million in 7 years? Yes, that is the power of the rule of 72. It just starts to snowball, and over time, and that's what's so discouraging about the game of money. At first, it's like playing the violin and it just sounds horrible and everyone's running out of the room. But over time, you start to gain some momentum. That ball starts to roll. Let's do another one. Rule of 10. Your term life insurance, how much should I get? You should get the rule of 10. So $100,000, if that's what your family earns, you should cover yourself by about $1 million if that's what you're earning. So 10 times your earnings should be how much term life to get. Let's see, there's a couple here. 2x savings rule. So if you have twice your salary by age 35, so Greg, I'm 30, what's good? How far should I be? Well, by age 35, you should hopefully have saved twice your salary. But Greg, I'm a 35-year-old, I make $75,000 a year. Awesome. Do you have 150,000 net worth? And again, net worth we didn't really tackle, but that's your money minus your debts. And so that's what the 2 times savings rule. The final rule here that I've listed is the 70% rule, the rule of 70%. If you're going to retire a little further in life, well, great, how much do I need to retire? Well, pretty much take about 70% of what you're earning right now, and that's typically what most people try to retire off of. So if you're making $5,000 a month, in retirement, you would need to have about $3,500 per month. This is not mine. This is a great Instagram site, Not the Money Guy, which I really like them too, guys. There is great people and great help everywhere. My financial advisor, a wonderful guy named Jonathan, just showed me this, and this blew my mind. This is just how money is a way of thinking. And he walked me through an example, and I'll walk you through it really quick. Most people make money, income, and that money goes to pay the cost of living, car loan, mortgage, utility bill, paying off a credit card, and through paying their debts, they live. And that's how they live their life. Wealthy mindset or wealth mindset turns that around. Wealth mindset uses your income to buy assets. Those assets then pay for the things we have to pay for. The money returns income to pay for the things we need. And the money also at the same time fuels our lifestyle. And so I said, ooh, that's really cool. I don't understand. Give me an example. And he gave me two, and I'll share them with you. So one example is that a couple has a child, and they want to set aside money for the child's education. Wealth mindset would be that the couple might buy an investment property. And that investment property, someone else would pay the mortgage. And over time, as the home went up in value and what was owed went down, there would be a delta, there'd be a spread. And they would use that spread to pay for their child's higher education. And that investment property still exists and can fuel other things in their life in the future. I love that one. I thought that was great. I was like, wow, that's cool. I mean, you could do a 529 plan, but that's kind of like a debt to a certain extent. Or you could view it by letting the asset pay for the lifestyle or the future liability. Here's another. We all have utility bills, right? We all get power bills. Well, wealth mindset would be to buy stock in the utility. Well, what does that mean? Well, our local utility is Dominion. I think they just got sold, by the way. But Dominion Power, you can actually buy their stocks. And that stock has something called a dividend. What that means is as the company makes money by selling power, they give their money back to their stockholders every year. And the dividend's pretty good. Let's call it 5-6%. So a wealth mindset is rather than paying my power bill, I'm going to save up money and buy Dominion stock. And with that stock, I'm going to use the money the stock gives me monthly or annually to pay my power bill. So I wanted to share that with you just because I think so much of building wealth is adjusting our mind's eye for how we do it and practicing it too. All right, let me do a little salesy thing. Most mortgage lenders will quote you an interest rate and they will tell you that you're pre-approved. We don't do that here on the Cowlick team. We really sit down with our families. We listen, we plan, we advise, we prep, we educate. We say we do 70% of our work before the people even make an offer. And it works. Our families are winning on homes they love. Our families are confident. Jesse came up with our tagline, it's grow forward confidently. Our logo's a tree. Our clients are getting better advice, and in the end, they're getting better mortgages because so much of it's just constructing the mortgage. So, reticular activator is when you buy a red Volkswagen Bug, and then you're driving around and you're like, honey, there's Volkswagen red bugs everywhere. In other words, sometimes when you're thinking of things, they just manifest themselves. So if you hear of anyone thinking of buying a house in the next 12 months, that's someone we want to talk to. You can get a mortgage anywhere. But the way we really spend time with people gives them better results. So please keep us in mind. If you know of anybody, just text us or send us an email and tell us their information and we'll reach out to them. We do have other classes. If you're a real estate agent, I'm excited about this next class I'll be teaching you. It's on September 10th. It's called Your Next Deal is Behind You. And it has to do with the mindset we all use in real estate sales about where's our next how are we going to put food on our table? Where's our next client? And I'm looking forward to sharing with you. I'm on that journey, so I'll share with you some of what we're dealing with on our team. And then finally, on September 24th, the wonderful Jessie, she's our sales manager, is going to be teaching a class on how to buy a house and how to win in today's real estate market. Join us for that, and we can always check our websites for, which I'll pull up again, for the upcoming classes here on the site. They do a good job of updating this with the next classes that are coming up. So here they are right there. So glad you could join us. I do have a couple other slides, but we're right at where we should be. Thank you for coming. Again, you can pull this up on our website at cowicteam.com. You can also download our podcast. They're both on Apple and Spotify, and they're called Straight Talk. And the idea behind the podcast, if you look at your screen, is not to talk fancy, but to talk real directly about wealth and real estate. Some of these we have financial advisors, we've got agents, but it's not really so much real estate. A lot of it's more about leadership and mindset and how money works. So feel free to pull that up. We try to make those fun as well. Any final questions before we go? Any final questions? It's 6:44. I love ending on time. You guys all were able to have great days and great evenings and do what you were doing tonight and still be a part of this. So I personally want to say thank you for investing in yourself and taking time out of your day. And it really means a lot. We're here to
Hey,
help
Greg.
not only get into stuff, but get you out of the day. Seth Shimmer, what you got?
Hey, I just really wanted to say thanks for doing this and putting it together. Enjoyed it. And I love that you guys are kind of doing this and educating, and looking forward to even sending some clients to these in the future. And not so much a question, but one thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about like the emergency fund and having those kind of savings and stuff. One thing I would definitely call out right now is if you've got that sitting in like a Chase Bank or Wells Fargo or something like that, it might actually make sense for you to find a high yield savings account right now that's paying a lot more. Like there are banks out there that are paying 5.15%. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, and UFB Direct is an online bank and they're paying 5.15% right now. So if you have that like 6 months emergency fund, instead of having it sitting in an account that's not earning you money, move it over there and have it make you 5% interest right now.
Thanks, Seth. The other thing we teach in Budget Like a Boss is that with your reserves, if you can get them out of the bank you use, you're less tempted to touch them. So not only do you get them into a place that's earning you more, you get them to a point where you can't transfer them back. And that keeps us more disciplined in sticking to our budget and not pulling into those monies too. So yeah, it's like a dual purpose.
Best thing to do with your tax savings.
What's that?
Best thing to do with your tax savings when you're saving for those quarterly payments. I'd put that money in an account that like I can't even get access to real easy.
Oh, the plight of the self-employed. It takes a lot of discipline. Yeah. Anyone else got anything before we go? I hope you guys have a great night. Again, thanks so much for joining. We do this often, over and over again, and we're trying to get better at it. So any feedback you have, I'm open to. We're still in the experimental phase. I really appreciate you spending time with us tonight, all of you. Have a great night. From all of us on the COWIC team, we appreciate your business and your trust over the community. Bye.